Hello, testing this mic. Reading good. Looks like we are able to start. Hello, Rebel Star. How are you doing tonight? Late night. You can hear. Good. I'm glad. Let me get this switched over. Should be good. Yep. Looks like it. I kind of shifted things around here, but looks good on my stream. Actually, it was like yellow in my preview, and now it's showing up a lot better, so it's much better. Hope you're doing good. That's good, and I am doing well. Thank you. I am ready for another week of this, to put it lightly. Let's see. So, as kind of a whoops, as I already hit this. Let me just turn my laptop a little so I can see this better. As kind of a brief recap, I think we just did a whole lot of sanding on these hair pieces last time. So we had a bunch of Bondo on them, and it took a little longer than I would have liked to get all of this sanded down, but it was very much needed because all of these pieces had quite a bit of issues in terms of the micro dents and scratches that we needed to fill in, and so all of those are filled in at this point. You can see all of these red marks here. You can barely see them on here, hopefully they show up, but those are all areas that we sanded down and Putty filled them in. So there's a lot of them on this piece. You can see, hello Palico, I'm doing alright. How are you doing tonight? We are just recapping before we jump all in today. Hope you guys had a good weekend and you're ready to build more and watch more and have a good week. I think this was the worst part, or the worst piece out of all of them. You can see all of this red inside of there. Those are all scratches and little dents that got filled in. And so thankfully, we are done with all of the Bondo for now until we get this kit primed and I see anything else. Oh, I did go ahead and I sanded those pieces I said I was going to sand. So we have her face now, which is all, ready to go as well. There was a lot of tiny scratches on this one as well. Kind of hard for it to show up, but you can see those hints of red. All of that is the stuff that I filled in and kind of fixed. So, pinning kit bases to acrylic bases for more support. Oh, well, that's a busy night then. Good. I'm glad that someone's building along with me. Meanwhile, Cannon is on the run. They're gonna come in and go out. And so I also went ahead and I sanded those boots finally. I'd been putting them off forever. And let's see, you can kind of see why here. It's a little easier to see in a photo. But all of these, let's see. Come on. Getting a real good view of my palm, but not the side. You can see all the red though. So there's a lot of little red in here that got all, filled up, etc. Same with this one. Hello, Mr. Freaky. How are you doing tonight? Got everyone saying hi. I appreciate it, y'all. That's real nice. It's always good to have chatters coming in and saying hi. That means a lot. Let me get a quick drink and then we will move on with what we're going to do tonight. I have some nice water that we bought, or that I bought, and infused with watermelon, but I'm really not tasting it. Anyway, so what we're going to focus on tonight is primarily getting the rest of this kit all magnetized and pinned, and we don't have too much left. Let's go ahead and assemble what we've got so far. So we have all the legs assembled, kind of her upper torso area. Let's see, Mr. Freaky, you're melting. Oh, that's not good. I was melting a couple days ago, but today is a good day. So I'm not melting. I'm doing all right. My eyes are doing okay. I had an eye exam this morning and they dilated my eyes, so I was essentially useless for like a couple hours. I had those huge pupils. That was really, it's always funny when that happens. Like I always get photos because I'm like, whoa, I got the crazy pupils. But now I'm feeling much better. My eyes feel just like a tiny bit numb from the drops, but I'm seeing okay and I don't have any light sensitivity. So anyway, I guess that's my day. Other than that, I'm doing well. Okay, so yeah, we basically got up to here pinned. Oh, and as well as her little ribbon here. But as you can see, there's kind of a gap in between here, and I didn't go ahead and fix that. So what we're gonna do instead is use some 2-part epoxy and kind of fill that in instead. And if it ends up being kind of a big pain, then I'll go ahead and readjust the magnet. But the kit stands on its own, so I feel like it's a good opportunity to just get that filled in rather than mess around with like the positioning and everything. But if it does like not work out, then I'll correct the magnet. Let's see, your first ever garage kits were delivered from Japan today. Ooh, congratulations, that's awesome. It was that Wasela mask, was it? Is that the one that you got? And then maybe some other ones? I'm excited for you. I always love new kit loot, that's the greatest. But yeah, so we don't have too much left to pin / magnetize. This is where we're at though, so we're gonna need to figure out the arms first. We're gonna do that today very shortly. And these pieces we're not going to pin at all. We're just gonna kind of drill a little hole here so then they'll be able to be held up when we're priming them. And then we will drill a hole on either side here. And then we will work on her hair, which I have to pull out the diagram. It's all sitting right here. So it's, whoops, that went flying. So yeah, we got a bunch of stuff ahead of us. Some of it's putty work, some of it's magnetizing, etc. So let's just jump in and start with magnets, I guess. Let's see, a couple are definitely knockoffs. A weird purple resin. Interesting. I don't know if I've seen a kit with purple resin before. I've seen some pretty wacky colors on the yellow spectrum. I've seen some greens, but purple, that sounds kind of iffy. I don't know about that, my dude. Where did you get them all? Let me see. I'm gonna pull out my magnets right now, guys. So I think we were debating between a 1/16 and a 1/8 inch. So let me pull those out and leave the rest in. Okay, kind of pulling them off to the side here. Japanese eBay via Zen Market. Yeah, I think as long as you double checked the listing and made sure that it was legit, there's no kind of sketchy signs there, you're probably good to go. I do have issue with YJ these days. It is getting harder to like filter out the bootlegs. They've gotten really bad on just like having lots of bootleg listings on there, and so I have a whole bunch of search terms that I have to exclude now in terms of YJ, but it should be okay as long as you get that original packaging. And there's a bunch of other stuff, but we're not going to go into that now. You're impressed with Zen Market? They packaged it well. Yeah, that's great. Zen Market, I have never had a bad packaging experience with Zen Market. They've always treated my items really nicely, kept the original packaging. You gotta ask them to get rid of it, but yeah, I'm glad you had a great experience. Anyway, let's get started. We're gonna do some magnets on this arm first. So I haven't drilled or done anything with this arm yet. We're going to start out with a 1/16 inch drill and then kind of work our way and see if I want to do 1/8 inch, but there's not a ton of room here, so I might just opt to stick with the 1/16. And let's move these pieces aside so we're not messing around with anything. Luckily there are guide holes on this, and I assume that they match up here. Yeah, this one seems to match up fine. Let me push this up a little. So let's see. So let me show you the guide hole real quick. You can see it's right here. That's given by the manufacturer or the sculptor. So we will be following that for this one. Let's see, even though some might be knockoffs, I'm looking forward to starting and putting what you've learned here. Good, yeah, I'm excited. So happy for you that you're starting out kit building, and thank you so much for using my stuff as reference. That means a lot. I still, oops, as I knock things over. Even though I've done this for so many years, I'm still always learning new things, and so to hear that people are using my stuff now as reference, that's always something that continues to amaze me. Oh, good. I'm glad that you found my guide on my website helpful. I feel like that's a starting point that a lot of people, you know, find me because that guide is kind of shared in places and it's on MFC, etc. But I'm glad even after all these years it's giving people use. I have to go through it every couple of years because, you know, I wrote that basically a long time ago. It's been many years, over 5, probably closer to 8 or 9 at this point. And yeah, so I sometimes I update it or try to make amends on my website about things that I become, you know, must-have products for me, etc. Like my website one has UV gel listed on it, and that MFC article does not. So just small things like that. I added a whole bunch of stuff about festivals onto, you know, my website one, etc. So let's see, you fell down a booth rabbit hole. Yeah, booth is dangerous. Booth is no joke. It will like destroy your wallet. And that was what I was gonna do. I have a recent Zen Market order and I was like, I need to add something to it. And I was gonna add a booth model, but I totally forgot and I already asked them to pack up my stuff, so too late now. Anyway, what I'm doing right now is just drilling with the 1/16 inch drill, and every now and then I'm testing this with a small magnet and just seeing how far I'm drilling. So I'm not going to go too far on these arms because you don't want to risk going out the other side, and so I'm just checking. Right now this looks like, well, I remember last time we had a bag issue. And so let me double check my sizes. It's not this one. This is definitely 1/16 inch, but it's 1/16 by 1/8 inch, I think. I had this bag mixed up, so this one is clearly this one. Yep, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I think this is probably a good size. I'm not going to do too much more here, but I do want to make sure that it's totally flush, so go a tiny bit more. You hate it when you make an HLJ order on tools and then, yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I always like try to double check and make sure I have, you know, enough in my order because shipping is expensive in general, but it seems like I always forget something. All right, no problem, Mr. Frike. We will be just magnetizing here. And let's see. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and install this magnet on this arm so then we can just get the weighting done, because there is no polarity issue going on here. So let me see if I can, nope, I can't zoom in. Yeah, there's no polarity issue here. We're gonna have a brass wire going right down the middle, so we can work on that while we're waiting for this magnet to dry. So I need to grab my glue. That's the one thing I didn't grab is my glue. Right over here, all of my little cardboards that we cut. Okay. I haven't made an HLJ order in a long time, Canon. I don't use them that often, but they do have some good tools. One of those things I just don't do. Okay, we're gonna add some glue. This is, as always, a 2-part epoxy glue that I've had forever. And we're just mixing it, putting it out equally, and then mixing it together. And I'm just gonna dip the magnet in there and push it into the kit. Make sure your glue is really mixed. Okay, I'll just leave that there for now. Probably gonna regret that later. Just put it off to the side. All right, double check. Yep, these are good. So literally just kind of dipping the glue in here, making sure there's not too much, but enough to kind of coat the sides. And then stick it into the kit and pull away, and that's that. So you can see, hopefully, yep, that the magnet is flush. There's no issues with it sticking out. It's actually a really excellent fit. So we're just gonna wait 5+ minutes or so and let that sit and dry. And then we'll work on the other side of her arm, which is this one. In the meantime, we're going to start drilling the brass hole, a pin, which we will use a brass wire to pin her head to her body. So we will not be using a magnet on this piece. I tend to not use magnets when it comes to torso head fittings because a lot of times anime hair is kind of too heavy or too complex, and it just, a lot of times I just pin them, or I magnetize it and then the head just falls off. And so even if I have a kit that's, you know, almost all magnets, the torso to head I usually pin unless it's got a very like clear, strong peg where I'm able to insert a magnet, like a keyhole. So you can see here there is kind of a keyhole, but we'll focus. Trying to talk to you guys and then my camera is acting. That, pull it back. That's pretty close. Okay. Well, never mind. What is happening here? Feels like it's kind of like super bright too. There we go. So you can see there's kind of a thing sticking out in the middle of her neck, and that's what we would call like the keyhole, but this is a really poorly constructed one. It doesn't have like a clear differentiation between, you know, the body and the head, and it actually looks like I might need to carve some of it out. Yeah, it doesn't fit very well because there's this area in the back here that's just, it's kind of just jutting out extra resin. So I'm gonna very quickly kind of shave that down and see if it fixes this fit before we start pinning it. Anime hair is super realistic. Good evening. How are you doing? How are you, Penny? Yeah, I made a big mistake one time and tried to put a magnet. This is before I, you know, figured out that I should probably be using pins for the torso to head. And so this kit had all this crazy hair, and then I just stuck a magnet on her neck thinking it would work, and that was a big mistake. It did not work. The head just topples off. So pins will give you the support you need because you're able to drill farther into the body and farther up into the neck. A magnet can be strong, you know, it can offer a good fit, but if you've got a lot of weight going on there, it might not be the best option. So kind of heads up. All right, this is shaved. Let's see if this fits a little better. Oh yeah. Yeah, that fits flush now. So there was a very clear bit of resin that was just kind of stuck between the neck keyhole and whatever else this is. There you go. You just want to be careful that you're not scratching, but carving out the sides. All right. Double check. Yep, that's good. Okay. So this one also has kind of a guide hole, but not really. There's a very like big bubble that popped, but that's about it. And so I'm going to be using that bubble as the reference here, as well as the size and kind of shape of this keyhole. Hard to describe. It's basically kind of like a Tetris L shape, and then it has this little rounded bump. I'm just going to give my best guess here and kind of drill in the middle. Let me zoom in to kind of pull myself in so I'm not pulling this towards the camera. Okay. This is my tiny drill. Yeah, I'm just aiming to get, I don't know where I'm aiming. I'm gonna aim wherever and then hope the other one matches. But you do want to drill straight down when you're doing this. So. And I think I'm just gonna use a smaller drill size. I'm not gonna use the 1/16 inch on this. I don't think that's really necessary. But we'll see once I get the pin in. You're well, you had some popcorn that flavor with cinnamon and a light sprinkle of Splenda. That sounds really good. I too am watching my figure in many ways. And so maybe I'll have that as a snack tonight. Nothing like making your own popcorn. Like the stuff that comes in the package is not usually that good. But if you do it like on the stove top, that's usually a pretty healthy option, so. Alright. So I'm just drilling straight down. There's not really any place I need to particularly stop on this kit, because essentially we're just drilling, you know, all the way through. This is already pretty good. And I do have some pins here that I can pull out. Let's see. Probably have cut a smaller one. Let's do that. Okay, so I have this kind of rod here. Good with grilled cheese. Oh man, that sounds good too. Everything sounds good. Maybe I'm just hungry. Okay, so I'm testing this fit right now with a smaller rod. And just kind of grabbing with pliers and pushing it into the kit, just to test how much goes in. That's pretty good, so I'm gonna leave that alone. Can always adjust it later. Now for the other side, generally when I'm pinning, I seriously just eyeball it these days, guys. There are ways that you can make your fit a little easier, such as like putting your wire in here, cutting it pretty shallow, and then pushing it against your kit part, and that will leave kind of a little indent of where you want it to go. That's usually what I do if I need an exact fit, but with the brass wire you're able to do kind of an adjustment as well because it bends really easily, so we'll see how that goes. For now though, I'm gonna eyeball it, and should be right about here. Making sure to go straight down. This is just my tap hole, so this is a 0.5 millimeter drill bit right now, and then I'm gonna go up to the 0.8, and that's what I'll be using to pin this kit. Might have been a little bit too close, but fine. Early today. Hello, unit. I'm right on time. Where you been? We start at 8 p.m. although usually it's closer to like 8:05 because I have some stuff to set up last minute always. But we'll be doing this for a while. We'll be running until 10 p.m. tonight on my time, so plenty of time to watch magnetizing and puttying. And I did put like a random thing in the agenda, intermediate kit sanding. That's if we run out of stuff to do on this kit, which usually won't happen, but it will depend on the putty work, etc. So if we do, I just have another kit I'm going to pull out and sand in the meantime. Has nothing to do with this one, but figured rather than end the stream early, it would be good just to keep things going. Alright, so we got this in, and I'm just going to cut it to a random size, roughly like what I drilled, but I might need to drill this neck a little more. Okay. Ooh, this one's a tight fit. Double check this. There we go. Oh, Pacific. Yep, that's why. It'd be 5 Pacific, I think, because we're thinking we're 3 hours off from you. There we go. Okay, so pretty good already. If it will zoom, I think I've got a lot going on my desk, and that's why it won't zoom easily. Yeah, so pretty good fit. There's a tiny bit of a gap here though, as you can see, and so I'm gonna pull this out and just drill into this neck a little bit more. And you may have noticed the wire is already kind of bent, so I drilled in kind of straight, and I bent itself just slightly to try to fix the head angle. And so That's the benefit of brass wire, is you're able to kind of manipulate it if you need to. Steel, it's a lot harder. There we go. So you can see, pretty tight fit, pretty nice. Her head clearly fits on her body. You can turn it, you know, if you need to. And yeah, she got a big honking head. So that's pretty much it with pins. They're really easy to install as long as you get the, you know, right, if you drilled right the first time. But they're really sturdy, like applying a light force and it won't come out. You do want to make sure, especially, that your bit size, so your drill bit, matches with your pin size. So this is a 0.8 millimeter drill bit right here, and this, if it will zoom, is a 0.81 millimeter brass rod. And so you really want those to be exact, otherwise you're going to end up with a rod size that's too small or too big. If the rod size is too big, then it won't fit into the hole that you drilled, and if it's too small, then it's just going to wiggle into the hole that you drilled. So that's you're out trying to find, you're watching me live out at Hobby Lobby. I see. Well, I hope you find what you're looking for. I appreciate you tuning in. Even if you gotta, like, don't have me on while you're driving. But when you get home, I'll probably still be here, so no worries on that. But yeah, I guess that's the only thing that really you have to make sure when you're pinning is you want to make sure that your rods, or, you know, whatever materials you're using, are the same as what you're drilling here. So I have had issues, you know, with people asking me about pins, and that's usually the problem, is that your pin size is not the right size. I do use, you know, these pin vices. I have 3 right here, just because I prefer doing it by hand. So you can use, you know, tools and electric drills and stuff to drill these, but I find that kits are pretty delicate anyway, so it's easier for me to go in. And I use 3 just because I don't like switching them out. It's kind of a pain. I don't, you know, do it too often, and so just having these on hand is a lot easier for me. These 2 are the same, like, generic brand. It's available in the US. I don't even remember what it's called. And this is a special Tamiya pin vise meant for, like, really tiny Tamiya pins and drill bits. So you can see it's a lot thinner than the other one, and it accommodates a much smaller size than usual. So I bought this in Japan because I felt like I had a big need for it, because a lot of my smaller drill bits were not able to fit in here. So they do make different size pin vices. Keep that in mind. You keep breaking the small drill bits. Yeah, smaller drill bits, the smaller you go, the easier they are to break, especially if you're getting a not so, like, name brand, I guess I would say. So I'm usually, like, off brand for a lot of things. I, you know, do that to save costs. A lot of them are the same, you know, quality, etc. But drill bits I find can be super hit or miss, and some of them break really easy, especially the tiny ones. I have one that goes all the way down to 0.3, which is super tiny. I'll pull it out actually, because we're talking about drill bits. Yeah, I also bought this set in Japan. So this is a Tamiya brand small drill bit set. There's only a couple in here because some of them I'm using, but you can see here, I also labeled them. They come with some label. They get real tiny. So this is a 0.3. This is probably not the smallest I have, but it is one that's really small and very delicate. So you got to be real careful with this size. The larger you go, you know, it's not as bad. You're 132 inch from a Dremel. Yeah, they're very delicate. You got to be careful, but don't worry, I've broken my fair share of drill bits too. So, you know, just gotta try to not manhandle them, and you gotta also go straight in. So I found they break a lot easier if you kind of, like, you know, drop it, or if you move one way, it gets a little rough. So anyway, let's check on this. I think that this glue is getting to a point where we're probably able to start drilling the other side. Yeah, pretty tacky. Oops. You guys are wild. Pretty tacky, not coming off, you can see. So I'd say that this glue is pretty much ready, which means that we can start drilling the other side here. So let's get out my masking coat R. This is what I'm going to be using to mark the area where I want the magnet to fit in. So we have a magnet here, and we're going to just mark this spot with the liquid mask and put it into her shoulder blade. And that will tell me where I need to drill. Ooh, nice pop. Always love this stuff. All right, kind of sticky. Move these to the side too. All right, so I don't need a lot here really, just a tiny bit of the liquid mask will do. Just wanting to fill in or cover the magnet hole. But I do want it to go in on kind of a circular shape. Okay, we'll start here. We might need to add a little more, just in case. Okay. And let's fit this in. Right here you can see. So you really want that, you know, nice circular shape, because then that will tell you right in the middle of where you need to drill in order for that magnet to match up. And then you can just kind of wipe this stuff away. You can use thinner or isopropyl alcohol to wipe it off, and it really won't stick that much. Usually I just wipe it away and then give it a quick swipe with some thinner. So let me grab that. Okay, that's pretty good. And now let's take a look over here and get this drilled up. Technically don't need the head attached right now, but it's like a good support grip for me, so. Oh my God, you guys, you're funny. Okay, it turns out this is right exactly where I wanted it, but it's also on kind of a anthill spot, so. Okay. That might be tough. There's like a little tiny bubble of resin that came out, you know, in order for these pieces to align, but because of that, it's a little tough to drill into the middle of this sphere. There we go. Okay. That might not have made any sense what I just said, but oh well. All right. Okay, double check. Yeah, looks good. And so let me grab thinner. Wipe that out. Okay, I'm gonna remove the head. You can just kind of leave the pin in, not really a big deal. And let's start, actually I'll get a little here. Now we can't go too far into the side of the arm, mostly because we're dealing with less space here. So I'm gonna have to be careful as I go along. Not drill too far. Okay, you can see there's the preliminary hole. You guys are so funny. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm just laughing. Let's see, Chibi Garage Kit heads look like they're great handles for working on the small bodies. Yeah, they really are. Like, this head is so big compared to everything else. Like, I know your hand's supposed to be as big as your head, but like, look at this. It just like covers one of her eyes. It's really, she's got a massive head. Okay, let's see. Yeah, no, we're good to continue this. Okay, stop there. Let me grab a smaller bit. Let's see. So this is a 1/16 inch length magnet, and let me compare it to the 1/8. So where did I put that 1/8 stuff? Add that whole bag there. Nope, that's 1/4. I like took it out and now they went and stuck to something. Oh, there they are. all the way over here. Okay. Let me check. That will stick. Kind of testing the shoulder blade area and seeing. So the 1/16 inch length is a safe bet. The 1/8 inch gets a little farther in there, and when we account for the other side, I'm slightly concerned. It's getting pretty close, especially because the, let's see, hard to say. Let's see if I can talk to you guys in a way that it makes sense. So you can see that the clothing here is kind of smaller, like there's less of a length here on the clothing, and this side is a little bit longer. And so this side here is closer to the edge here. And so if I put in the 1/8 inch on the other side here, I don't have as much wiggle room. So I think I'm just gonna do 1/16 on either side. And then the polarity will probably come into effect there as well. So we'll start with that and see. Let's see. I'm seeing vet tech licensing. State that has a school to get a license doesn't require it. Well, good. Or not good? Not even sure at that point. As long as you get a job and are being safe to pets, then no issue. Okay, anyway, that tangent aside, let's check the polarity here. This matches well, very well. You can see it's sticking randomly to stuff. Let me grab my Sharpie. I didn't pull that out either. Alright, so as always with magnets, want to make sure that your polarity matches up before you even think about gluing or mixing some glue. So what we'll always do is mark the side, whether it touches or doesn't touch, it's up to you. As you can see, the magnets here, they all match up to this one. So we're just gonna take this off and make a note. With a Sharpie, the red will touch this. So when we glue this side here, we want the red part to be sticking out. Let me mix some more glue then. The trials of higher education, right? That's kind of what I'm dealing with too. In terms of like slight career shifts, and then you have to have schooling these days. Yep, it's coming up quick. Finally got one more free summer. Alright. I keep pulling this down. I'm so sorry, you guys. Okay. Mix some more of this glue. Should be good. Okay, and so we want this red to stick out, so I'm going to flip this piece over. And so you can see there's no red here. Shining, there's no red. When we stick this piece in though and kind of pull it away, the red will still be there. So we're essentially just flipping it to the other side and then pushing it in. Okay, like so. See? And then you're just gonna push it down with something that's non-magnetic. So I'm gonna use the tip of this. Make sure that it sits flush. This is actually jutting out just a tiny bit, and so I'm gonna drill real quick in just a tiny bit more while this glue is still wet.
You feel miserable when not in their presence.
That's better. There we go. I just push it back down in and wipe the area down with a tiny bit of thinner if needed. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So then we're just gonna wait for this other piece to dry. You can see the magnet is sitting in there now. There we go.
You just cannot
shiny, and we're just gonna wait. We could put the head back on if we want, like that. All right, so things to do in the meantime. We will need to start getting this shoulder figured out. There was that big issue with the shoulder blade not fitting in right, and I think that's because there's something going on down here. There was a big chunk of resin that I had to carve out of this kit on this shoulder blade when we were doing some putty, or not some putty, sanding work. So I think that was also the case here on this side, and I need to shave that down. So let's try doing that. Test this fit first. Okay. And I'm gonna buff this area down with a 400 grit. And I probably need a better sandpaper. Been kind of using a lot of it. Let's see. I have some really rough stuff here. Might as well use this one. I think this is a 320, so this is even lower than my usual one. Making sure not to touch the other parts of this kit. Oh, fit is getting there already. Oh, I see. There's a little bit of an extra resin here too, so see if sanding that down helps first. Already kind of better fit. Okay, also an area I want to carve out here. Okay. That fits already a lot better. That's pretty good. So before the shoulder blade was kind of like up here, now it at least fits in the socket. But I think what I'm gonna do is wait until we get this this shoulder blade in, and then that way we can test it and make sure that they both align. So, you know, right now it may look good, but once we have this arm in, it might not be the case. So we'll wait for that for a little while. In the meantime, I can start with this hair, which I need to pull out my book or little instruction sheet, because this hair is 4 pieces and 2 of them stick together. Okay, that here. All right, this sheet shows you what goes with what. So this piece, you can see it matches up with this one. So this would be piece 8, I guess. Move this. And that will go with what looks like this piece. So you can see flipped over, it looks like that one. So this number 1 matches here. I did have to do quite a bit of sanding to get it down into like a manageable shape, so it looks like a little thicker in the product image. That's because there was sanding involved. So this will clearly go with this one, which means that this piece, let's see if this is fitting. Yeah, this one here kind of looks like that, and that will go with this one here, like that, number 3. So when in doubt, just reference your product sheet if you're not sure, you know, how you're supposed to put these pieces together. However, the hair was kind of like weird, and so I also need to be checking her stock image that comes with the kit to make sure that I'm lining these up correctly. So this is the official, you know, kit photo that comes with the kit, and we'll be using that to look at the pieces. I'm actually gonna kind of prop it up here. You guys can't see it, but that way I have a reference. And same with this image. Need to just put that on my table. Okay. Do a minor bit of clean up here. Let's put away the 1/8 inch magnets because we're not going to need them. Here, these are all 1/8. Oops. Okay. And drop that back in here. Alright, so this piece is supposed to go to this one, and there are guide holes on this piece as well. So you can see right here, that's where the guide hole is. So what we'll be doing for this kit though is, this piece, probably using a wire, because we're planning to glue it together. And that way I can putty over the gap that I glue. But I just need to figure out the right way to install this. It looks like it's this way, but I have to check the reference. So it's supposedly going like that. Doesn't seem right. Maybe I should pin these to her head first and then figure it out. You can see the side here will go kind of like this. That's what it looks like. Oh wait. That goes like that. Yeah, I think it does. I guess it's all really close together. So I was expecting more, I guess, movement in the hair sculpt. But all of these kind of just clump together like this. And then when you're on the side here, yeah, it spirals kind of down. But always gotta check what you're doing. Let's check the other side. This piece, same deal. It has kind of the guide hole. I'm gonna drill out a little bit here though, because there's a tiny bit of flash in it. This one has a guide hole that doesn't even match up that well. But one of these is supposed to face down, I think. Like that. And then this piece is like that. And I think because the photo's taken at an angle, like I'm looking at it straight on like this, and it actually goes up like that. And so this would be the correct orientation here. So the hair really is all kind of like clumped together. It's not, you know, spiraling out. You can see the tops here stick together pretty closely. And that's going to be kind of a pain when it comes to sanding. So I think I said that I would touch on this last time, but we're going to talk about it more today. There's kind of two ways you can approach hair in situations like this. You can choose to glue the two pieces together and putty over this kind of gap that's here and the line before you even prime and sand the kit and get it ready for painting and then painting it. So you can do all that before and get it all smoothed down, or you can do it after. So paint all of these pieces, have everything primed, and then afterwards go in and glue it and putty over it, and then just paint over that small gap. And so right now I'm kind of undecided on what I want to do. Before I was like for sure just wanting to glue and get everything together, but it might be a little hard to paint some of this. I think it might be manageable though. Well, let's get them pinned first and then see kind of what the situation is. So let's see. We'll start with this head. And we're definitely going to be using a 1/8 inch wire on this. Like there's not really much room here for a 1/16 inch. The other option sounds too risky. Yeah, it actually is pretty good, like, but with this hair the way it is now, it might be kind of a pain to remove all of that. So we're not really sure at the moment. And that's what I said I was going to do. I said I was going to pull out a photo of you guys and tell you what I did on another kit that had this kind of issue, but it might be too late. And I probably don't have photos on my phone anymore. I'm just like talking at this point. I don't even know what I'm saying. Sorry guys. Yeah, I'm flipping through my photos real quick. I don't see a quick photo of when I did that. It was a long time ago. It was on a habanero ton kit, which I built forever ago. That one basically had 2 hair parts that you put together and then you putty over it. And then I did all that the last step. And I had no choice because the face kind of fit into the hair. And so you had like this back piece and a front piece that fit in. And then you had to putty over it. But whatever. We're not talking about that now. Anyway. We're just gonna drill. So. This one already had a pretty nice hole in it already, and so I don't need to do too much. But I do want to make sure that this has a good stable pin in it, so. And same with the other side. This one's a little bit trickier. Like the method I'm talking about with the, painting it after you've painted everything else works really well if you're working with opaque paints, but if you're doing a lot of shading with clears and stuff, it can be kind of a hassle to get all of that equal, because essentially you're just like, needing to put more paint over something. It's pretty good. Just gonna set this one. It's gonna look like an alien. Little pins sticking out. These are not the final pins, but they might be. So, now she looks like she had little chopsticks in her hair. But it's a lie. It will be hair. Okay, so this one was this one for sure. So, looks like there is a guide hole here, at least like an insert, but I'm gonna cut that. And that way I can drill into it a little easier. So really wanting to make sure I don't drill the wrong way here. I kind of tend to drill the way that I see the most resin. So you can look at your kit and it seems that this way is the easiest route because there's a lot of resin here and we're not going to risk drilling through anything. Where's my other bit there? You can also kind of angle it. So I might go through it at this part. So far, so good. Every now and then, just pull the pin or the drill bit out to take out these extra resin tendrils. So, I don't even think this will focus, but you can see these tiny little, bits of resin are flying out. If you have a really nice drill bit, then they'll usually come out in like a nice spiral. Okay, that's pretty long pin already. See how that works. Okay, so you can see there's still a little bit of a missing area here. Let me put that away. Really, camera just wants to focus on everything, not the kit. So you can see there's still pin here, meaning that I either need to cut the pin or drill farther into the kit. That's kind of your choice. So if you have the allowance to continue drilling, feel free to do so. Otherwise, you can cut your pin. I'm gonna go a little bit more though. pretty tight. There's a tiny bit of a gap here. So I think I might just cut the pin, but that looks weird on her. I'm so used to her being like bald or like with just like short hair that this hair twin tail is looking kind of weird for now. Let's see, do you need to leave room for the hair scrunchies? No, actually it looks like there's this little spot here, so let's see if I can zoom in. Right here. It looks like that's where the scrunchie's supposed to fit in, so I'm not sure which scrunchie goes with which, you know, part of the kit. It also looks like there's an area right here where the scrunchie has like a little hole that it fits in, and then that lines up with the hair, hopefully. So it would be like this is the scrunchie, and then the hair would fit in on the other side. So that will require a tiny bit of manipulating. I'm not sure if I can get that right away, but we can try. Let's see. So it would have to go this way. And then fit this here. I don't know how that scrunchie is supposed to fit in on one side and fit into this kit. It might be the other scrunchie. Because it looks like it just like sits out, but I guess it goes in. Oh, like that. Let's see. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. Will require a little bit of bending of the brass wire, hence why the wire is helpful. There we go. So it basically, it's going in at an angle, and there's like this little resin bump that fits into one side, and then it fits out on the hair at another angle, kind of like this. So this is definitely a piece that will have to be glued on for sure. The main thing will be just making sure that the pieces match up. And I don't think it really matters too much, as long as these fit. It's kind of a weird angle. There we go. Not something easily pinnable. I think I'm just going to have to kind of eyeball it and glue it together. So yeah, it will look like this. Pretty cute actually, so that's good. I don't think the other one will work, but we'll try the other side, and then if that works, then great. We know which ones go with what. There's no indicator here either. There's not like a tiny little area that says left or right. It's just a hole. Okay. Yeah, that's good. So I'm gonna leave that, I guess, and work on this side. Actually, I think at this point, let's test the arm too. It's still a little bit tacky. Should be good to stick though. Oops. There we go. Nice fit. Yeah, it does look cute, right? Yeah, I think she's starting to come together. She doesn't even have her pants on, but you know, who wants pants anyway? So that looks good. Starting to look like, you know, something really cute. But let's take this part out then. And make sure that this is still stuck in. A lot of times I just kind of push. Leave that here. And let's test this other arm so we can get this going before we move back to the hair, because it does take a little time for that glue to dry. Still a little bit high. Not too bad though. I think I might sand the back here a little bit more. That's pretty good now. So check the side. Man, she got a lot of pock marks on that back, but the fit on the back is really good. It's just the kind of bottom middle here that I wasn't sure about, and I considered using a 2-part epoxy to fill in this area, but I don't think that's going to be necessary now. Like, this is a kit for myself, and the paint will fill in a little bit of the gaps, so I think we're good to continue. Let me get her little front hair on too. It's too hot for pants. Yeah, definitely. I have like a nice pair of cozy pants, but I've been shedding those for shorts because it's just too hot. Let's see. Oh man, she's looking so cute. Alright, yeah, I think we're good. This is a good alignment that I'm happy with for the shoulder blade here, so it fits enough for me. And she's also moving her arm back a little, and so I'm not quite as concerned if the shoulder blade is like kind of off. It looks pretty good, so I'm happy with this fit. So let's get this arm off, and what we're gonna do now is take this head off and drill directly into this side first, because we want to make sure that the polarity of this magnet matches with this magnet. So there are guard marks on this piece as well, thankfully, so should be pretty clear of where I need to put this. Yeah. So we're just gonna do the same thing here, but drill into this side first. And make sure this kind of nub comes out. There we go. You may notice I'm kind of drilling at an angle first and then shifting into the straight down, and that's because there was this kind of raised resin bump that I wanted to drill out, and so drilling at that angle kind of let me pry it out, and then I'll go in and drill straight down. Okay, can't go too far again because we want that 1/16 inch to fit. This actually pulled out a tiny bit too. I think that glue still wasn't totally dry, so. I'm drilling, and I actually see the the magnet on the other side. I don't know if you guys can see a reflection. There's like a tiny hit of metal that pops up, and so they are going to collide, I think. So we need to make sure that it will fit, and especially the polarity will match then, because otherwise they're not gonna. Yeah, so I'm getting resistance on this side, and so you would make sure that it fits in here. That might be tough. Oh yeah, I'm hitting that magnet. Still pretty flush, and so I wonder how far I can get though. Push here. Oh man. I don't know if I'm gonna be getting this magnet out. Because I just pushed it in here and it like, I heard it stick kind of to the other one. That might be problematic. Or not. If it's that stuck, then essentially I don't even have to really glue it. It will just be as is, and I'm totally fine with that. The problem is I just want to make sure that it's as flush as possible. And it's still sticking out a tiny bit. Which I don't think I can get any more allowance there. Heating it up would remove this magnet, but let's just see how this goes. There is a tiny bit of a gap here anyway, so maybe this won't be too big of a deal. In that case, I will mark this directly. And let's do the liquid mask. Yeah, this happens, Rebel Star. Remember, I was pretty sure that this would happen anyway, which is why I didn't bother drilling in through the 1/8, because that way for sure we would have hit, you know, the resin and hit through the other side. So this is like not surprising. I kind of anticipated this. I didn't think it would happen with a 1/16, so I am glad that I chose to not drill too crazy far in. Okay. Okay, so it looks like this one's a little bit slightly lower than the guide hole from what I can tell here. So we're gonna aim for that and just see how this goes. And that's most likely because we did all of that adjusting with the arm anyway. The fit was kind of off from the very beginning, so it would make sure, or it would make sense that the guide hole that they gave us probably didn't fit that well either. Okay. Go down, it's just slightly below the guide hole. I'll show you guys what I mean in a second. And this off. Okay. You can see here that there's a hole that I drilled right below the guide hole, and it looks like the smaller hole here that I drilled, that's where the magnet is supposed to fit, but we will see. We will see. Even with guide holes, sometimes you can't rely on them, so that's why I always use the liquid mask to double check. That down first. And looks like we could get a 1/16 inch in, but I'll double check. Definitely not a 1/8 this time. Okay. A little more. Got some like one that's glued to it. There we go. That's pretty flush. So I think let's just go ahead and glue this arm. Double check. Flip it. And I need to mix a little more glue. Okay. You're back to watch. Thank you for doing these. I've been watching you during work and prep for my first garage kit. Oh, congrats on starting kit building. Thank you for choosing to watch me too. What kit are you working on? And yeah, I'm excited to hear how it goes for you. It's always like scary to start a new hobby and especially this hobby, so be proud of yourself just for picking it up and, and moving through it. For real. I keep pushing. I really should just pull my camera back, but I'm wondering if it's going to show the top of my head then. Let's see. Do that, and then I'm gonna lean in, I guess. Well, just a hint of my forehead, but I think that will be good. And that way if I push this toward me, you guys can still see. Angle got kind of funky, but that's whatever. We'll just have to deal with it. Alright, anyway, I don't want this glue to dry, so okay, double check again. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Pretty much it. So we'll wait on this until this glue here dries, and then assuming it all goes well, that will be it for magnets, I think. That was the only other piece that needed to be magnetized. Okay, let's see. We haven't started yet. Been doing mods on a prize figure. Ooh, Chi is always a nice choice. And she's like a pretty simple character design too. So she's a good starter kit for a lot of people. Just because she's mostly like skin and hair and then a dress that's like one color. So we ordered some sandpaper and putty. Oh no! Well, your mom can mail it to you then. I always gotta double check the addresses on stuff when I do like Amazon orders, because sometimes I order stuff for friends and then ship it to the wrong person. Let's see. Kind of back, been going through your new kits, seeing how much work you got. Ooh, that's always fun too, the first look, you know? Where you're like, oh, this is beautiful. Or you go, oh god, that goes back in the box, so. Alright, anyway, let's put this aside. This we don't need right now. And we're gonna continue the hair, I think is what we were doing. So let me get this head on here. And this hair, I don't think let's pin this one first. We got this pin in, and so we need to pin this side. You can see maybe, yeah, there's kind of a bubble here, hard to tell. There's kind of a bubble and a little area sticking out. That's where we want to be drilling. So that's the keyhole. This kit just happened to have like actual bubbles that popped when it was supposed to be the area, like a little bubble where you were supposed to fit the pieces together. That probably doesn't make sense either, but oops. I'm gonna have to go in a little closer here. Do the angle thing first so I can get a hit in. Otherwise it's just gonna slide out like that. Kind of sliding where it wants to go. There we go. Wow, I just popped, like I peeled that back and there's a whole bunch of bubbles in this area. So just bubbles that were in the resin cast. I might need to fill those in. Let me peel this back a little more. Kind of getting a smoother surface here. Okay. One kit has pieces where you don't know where they go. Oh yeah, that's always fun, right? Did it come with an instruction sheet at least, so you can like guess? Because that's sometimes a pain, but it happens. Okay. This is gonna be a weird angle. This should work though. And this goes straight across. Okay, that should be enough of a guide hole. No guide either, oh boy. Yeah, maybe what I usually do in that case is just look very closely at the manufacturer, you know, photo of the kit built, and then you just kind of gotta figure it out that way. But if it's a poor cast, that's not a great sign, because, you know, you might have some sculpting work to do. Original kits are hit and miss, I'm telling you. Okay. So far, so good. Don't want to end up popping out on the other side. Oh look, guys, you can become famous. Let me see if I can scan this. I block him, I don't know if that ban. Nope. Usually my oh my god. Okay, I give up. And now it's saying I have to type in a report. Odd. Okay, I give up. You guys are just gonna have to deal with it. I'm not familiar with like Twitch's layout, so I'm sorry. Oh, maybe I have to do it through Twitch. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I can't figure this out right now. We are here to work, not to do this. Hurry, if you are here, please ban this guy. Oh yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I just clicked them and then it said deactivated. Okay, so it's not just me then. Maybe it's because I reported it? Okay, well, whatever, guys. Whatever. That's really weird. Okay, this is pretty far into this. Let's see how far. Not that far, apparently. Trying to angle this hair. I think it's gonna more or less be like that. So. We still have some room here. And my concern is when we pin the other hair, it's gonna hit that pin, but we'll probably be okay. And I can cut this pin. That's pretty good. Tight fit. Yeah, that's pretty good. I might cut this just a tiny bit. This is a really tight pin, which is good. You want it tight, not loose fitting, but there we go. I don't know if I would want to be famous, to be honest. That sounds like kind of a pain. Plus you have to deal with like people adding you and all of that all the time. And paparazzi. Seems annoying. Okay. That's pretty good. That's a really tight fit. You can see that even after shaving the hair down, it fits pretty nicely along here. So we'll work with that for now, but we do need to make sure that this fits too, so that's going to be kind of annoying. We love seeing you, Memi, in past builds. Hey, yeah, I'm glad she's cycling through now. I updated the finished photos, I guess, a while back, so, whoops. Hoshino Yumemi was my latest finished one. Actually, no, our maid kit was the latest finished one, but Yumemi was the latest commission finished one. And so that one was real fun to do. I really like that character, so I was happy to take on the project. Planetarian was one of the first visual novels that I read through, so she's a cutie. Okay, so this is a weird one again, but I think what happens is you just push, like you angle these scrunchies in a way where it matches up with the hair, kind of like this. But the connection here is not as cute as on the other side. It's kind of like a bunch of resin that's really rough, so it doesn't fit cleanly in. Let's see if I can move the hair back. Okay, that. Yeah, so it'll fit like this. Zoom in a little. You can see that there's like a rough resin area here. That basically gets all filled up when the kit, like hair is against it. You can see, I can push it aside. There's like a rough area here. You can see it right now. But that is not visible when this is sitting in the right position and kind of hitting it at an angle. So I think these hair pieces especially will be really dependent on the position of the brass wire when you stick it in. And so thankfully we're able to like manipulate it a little bit, so that won't be an issue. But I was thinking I'd have a lot more ability to move the hair, you know, back and forth or up and down like this if I needed to. It does not appear that will be the case because of these scrunchies and so, or hair or whatever they are. That's not too big of a deal. There we go. That's pretty cute. And then I guess this piece will fit in like that. Yep, like that. More or less. So yeah, there's a big nice line right here that we will absolutely need to fix. I think the sculptor may have taken this photo at an angle where you don't see the hair line either. That's pretty smart. I'll have to double check some other photos and see if anyone else corrected that. There are a couple of different builds of this kit floating around on the internet. Ooh, that was stuck. So I'm gonna try to keep these pins, well, probably should try to keep them in the hair. I don't know why I just did that. But you can see how bent this pin is now. Let's see. It will let me. Here, so you can see how bent it is. And that's because we were like manipulating the hair and trying to get it to fit perfectly. And so, again, brass pins really help, you know, you get the angle that you need and they don't hurt your kit. The steel ones are a lot harder to shift around. Yeah, like that. And then I'm not gonna bother with the scrunchies for now, but starting to look like something. With her hair on, it will probably look cuter here. So yeah, it looks pretty cute now. She really needs those bangs though, those front bangs, otherwise it looks just silly. That's really cute. I think we're good to check. Whoops. And it balances too. She balances on her hair. So let's see if I could get, oh gosh, this is gonna be a pain. So the way we'll have to assemble this kit is take the head off, get the torso through, put these on, and then put the head on, and manipulate the hair if needed. Put the ribbon on, and then put her bangs on. So that, and whoops, this bang is gonna be a little annoying. We're just gonna have to glue it, honestly. There we go. And let's see if this worked. Risky. Come on. Yep, whoops. Like that. Ish. It's pretty like, especially here, the connection is not very strong because we only have this small magnet. So it's kind of gonna be difficult. It'd be a lot easier with just glue. There we go. Also, yeah, she just kind of collapses without that glue. We'll have to work on this in sections. There we go. There we go. And then hold her from the bottom, and that probably is a lot better. Yeah, so. Grabbing this. Tough. There we go. Very tentatively holding her back, but you can see she's starting to come together now. Whoop, as it flies away. Is there any reason you're not gluing the legs together? Well, we haven't painted her yet. That's why. Makes no sense to glue this yet. You know, especially, oh, I guess you may mean in the context of like painting them as one piece. I think it would be harder to get in between here and paint here. Rather than like doing them separate and then gluing them after. And so it's not, you know, the thing I'm thinking about here is sometimes it's easier to make things one piece, but other times it's more difficult because then your airbrushes or your paintbrushes have trouble reaching it. And so we could do that, but then I might end up, you know, I can't spray directly on it. And so we would have to spray these from an angle like this. And so when you're spraying at an angle like that, you end up getting, it's not a direct spray, and so you get like fuzzy offshoots or paint that doesn't stick directly on it. And so you may notice, you know, if you're airbrushing and you're working on hair or something, if you don't come at it from the right angle, then you're gonna get like fuzzies on the side of your hair or your bangs or something, and then you need to kind of like sand that down. And so that's why we're waiting for this piece to glue it. Because when they're separate like this, we'll be able to spray flat on it and get that nice smooth paint job, and then we'll be able to glue it later and it won't be too big of a deal. So the hair though, that was the different topic, because we are dealing with a line here that we're gonna have to be puttying anyway. This one, you're not gonna see it, right? Like you can't see under her pants, it's not too big of a deal. So as she like coming up, she'd punch herself in the eye. Oh my goodness. Anyway, for now it looks kind of rough. It'll be totally fine once we glue it together. The main thing we want to make sure though is that the pieces like fit together well, because if they don't fit together well when we're doing this magnetization, they're not going to fit together when we're gluing it. So okay, let's take this off, and let me double check here how this shoulder blade came out. So we did kind of like a full test fit together, but I wanted to double check here. This looks pretty good. It's a little bit shaky, but I think it's because I just hit her fist. There we go. Yeah, this looks good. The magnets worked fine here. So you can see, if it will zoom. Oh my goodness, come on. There we go. So shoulder blade fit is great, right? There's no huge gaps we're seeing. This is the area of concern here. So this is the piece we had to shave down. But you can see that it's all really flush against her like outfit, her sleeveless outfit. So what we didn't want is like a gap here, which wouldn't make much sense. But we really want that close together, flush against the shoulder blades. We don't want a huge gap here. You can see there's a little bit of a gap underneath here, so under her area and her armpit, as opposed to here where it's pretty much flush all the way through. That's just because we did all of that sanding and trying to get this piece to fit from the very beginning. And again, I'm not really gonna bother with that fit. I think that it will be fine when painted, and it's not the focus area. I'm not gonna be displaying her like this side, and so no big deal. That's it for magnets. That pretty much concludes that portion of it. So what we'll need to do now is finish pinning these hair strands, and then we're going to finally decide if we need to glue them, I think. And then we'll need to mix some 2-part epoxy putty together and get that smoothed out. So let's see, put this away, and this. Basically don't need anything anymore except for her head and the hair strands. And maybe the scrunchies, but I don't think we'll need those. So okay. Let me put away my magnets so I have more room to work with here. All right, so if we're gonna follow the curvature of these hair strands and make sure that they fit, then we gotta drill into the guide hole. Okay, just gonna leave that out. Okay, guide hole was pretty set in where it wanted it, so it looked like this piece goes here with this piece, and yeah, this is the correct orientation. As you can see, it matches up here. And this photo is taken in a way where you would not even see those lines. So smart on that sculptor. All right, well, let's just start then. And we'll start with the piece that has the indented hole. So you can see there's an indent here as opposed to this piece, which has a piece sticking out. So these pieces do fit, you know, ish, because there's a good guide here, but we want to make sure there's a wire there. And we don't have a lot of room to work with here. We have, you know, here to about here. So we can't go too crazy and drill too quickly. So I'm going to start with this 0.5 and work my way down. Okay. Kind of like a pizza shape, so as long as we stay in the shape, then we're good. Okay. Kind of holding on to it from a bunch of angles so I can feel if this drill bit starts hitting the end. You have like a very brief moment before you drill through where the resin kind of starts to like bubble up because you're about to drill through it. And so sometimes you can catch yourself drilling too far. You feel that bubble. Okay. That's pretty good though. This is already pretty deep into this piece, so don't think there would be any benefit in going a little further in. We can try, but I don't know. All right, so I'm going to drill or put in a pin here just to test. That's pretty good, yeah. Definitely do not need this long, but we can kind of gauge where we want how far this to go in as well. I'm gonna put it like here for now. I tend to give myself a little more room sometimes because you can always cut them down, but it's a pain to if they're too small. All right, now I'm gonna cut off this resin bubble because it just makes drilling it a little bit tougher. But you can still see the outline of where we need to drill, so not too big of a deal. Okay. Then we also have this kind of end tip here that's in the way. That's a little annoying, but that won't impact the drill. Thankfully, these guide holes are pretty nice here, so. Let's hope they match up. Okay. Once I get kind of far in, I just drill to the side. I drill like in a way where I'm facing it, and it's how I want it to look. So if I'm drilling this way, let's see if I can put this in here. Okay, so if I'm drilling this way, I can clearly see how far I need to go based on the length of the drill. And so rather than drill like straight down, I did that in the beginning to get the right angle, but now I just kind of hold the piece and drill so I can tell how far I'm going into the piece. I don't know if this is normal practice or just something that I personally do, but it helps give me a visual guide of kind of where I need to stop. Because if I drill too far, I'm just going to drill straight out of the piece. And sometimes I end up doing that anyway, so the night is young, we may still yet do that. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's test this. Might need to make some adjustments though. So this pin is still a little bit long, as you can see. There's a gap here. So I can either cut that or go farther in. Go maybe a little bit more, but then I'm going to cut the pin. And I'll cut this pin down a little bit. Okay. That's pretty good. You can see that this is basically where it's supposed to match up. So this was an excellent guide hole. This piece is pretty much, you know, how it's supposed to be normally, right? And so this is what it will look like. This is what the finished hair strand will look like. Again, it fits in like this. So you can see at this angle, that's how it's supposed to be. But we have this nasty line here. So what we will have to do to address that is to, you know, putty over and correct it. Let me get the other one corrected and then I'll make the call of whether we need to glue these pieces together. This one looks like we can do that. The hair strand is in a place where it's not completely overlapping it, and the priming it might be a little bit annoying because we're gonna have to like spray at this angle, right? And so you might end up with some fuzzies and stuff. But you know what I think I might do now that I'm thinking about foresight is not glue these pieces yet. Get this stuff primed because we might have to be dealing with more scratches and little dents and stuff with this kit. on these hair strands especially, because let's say we glue these first and then get all this figured out and smoothed down and then prime like all of this. If we end up needing to correct like all of this stuff or something in here, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to do when these pieces are glued together. So let's test the fit and make sure it's fine now, but then we're going to have to putty over this and glue it after we have this kit primed. And then that way we'll only have to prime like a really tiny area. And that should be okay, I think. So hopefully that made sense. Basically, we're gonna put off using the 2-part epoxy on these hair strands right now until after we've primed and smoothed everything out. However, we'll still use the 2-part epoxy on this hair, or on her pants, I think, because there was that gap in between them. So we will be doing some of that tonight still. Glad I thought of that. Normally it would be fine if your pieces were like perfectly fitting, but this kit has so many issues anyway that I really don't trust these pieces even after I bondoed them. So, but it is a nice hair strand. Okay, so let's do this other one and get this one all pinned up as well. Leave her head over here. This one also has guide holes. This guide hole is a little bit larger, but it should not be a problem, I think. Maybe. I can see. It might be a little challenging. Let me drill this one first. So I'm gonna cut off this. Okay. Careful not to break the pieces. So we're pushing down on this hair strand, but we really don't want to, mess with it. Time for bed. Thanks for stream. Good luck. Thank you. You too, Rebel Star. Appreciate you stopping in, even though it's so late for you. Hope to catch you on. Oh, before you go, hopefully you didn't leave yet. I will be postponing my stream on Wednesday to Thursday. So I forgot to mention that at the very beginning. Sorry, I'll make an announcement for sure. On Wednesday, probably the morning. But I will be not streaming on Wednesday, moving it to Thursday, because I am going to a concert on Wednesday and it is at night, and so that is impossible for me to stream unless you want a live stream of this concert. Yeah, exciting. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited now that COVID is like kind of lightening up here, and almost everyone in my area is vaccinated. And feel a little safer going out. So I don't know if they'll have social distancing stuff at this concert, but it's a singer who I like. She's not like one of my favorites, but it's someone that I'm interested in seeing live and to see if she'll become one of my favorites. So that's exciting. Yeah, thank you, Rebel. And thank you, Fries. It should be a lot of fun, I'm hoping. I really do love seeing live music, and so COVID was, when it hit, it was super bummer, both for artists and people who want to go listen to music. I did a lot of like virtual listening to people, play music and stuff, but it's not the same as seeing a concert in person. So I try to see people a couple times a year, and I was not able to do that last year. But now I can, so happy again. All right, make sure this hair strand gets thin pretty quickly. So you can see it starts out pretty thick here and then goes thin. So I don't want to drill too far yet. Say that with every piece, but you do want to work slowly. Thank you, Mr. Freaky. Yes, you will all be very much missed, but it is only a 1-day delay, so not too concerned. And thinking about things to do on Thursday then, if we are postponing, let's see, it'll be an interesting day, because if we're postponing the 2-part epoxy on the hair. Then we might have to just move into, you know, finishing the sand down on the 2-part that we're gonna put on here, and then switch my gear over to my airbrush setup, so we can start the priming. We'll see how things go. I also have a bunch of stuff on my desk right now that's being painted, so I'll need to make some room. Missed out on seeing the Strokes right after COVID. Oh god, yeah, isn't that suck? Like, there were so many concerts and people that I wanted to see, and then you miss people, and now's the time to do it because everybody is, like, you know, setting their tour dates, and so I bought like 2 concerts already, and there's 2 other people that I want to see, and it's just like, should I buy it now? Should I not? Everybody I know is going on tour now, so gotta keep up with it. Okay, I think this is a 0.5. I was trying to find a spare nub out of my jar, but I think I need to just cut some more pins. So let's cut a wire here. Am I fully vaccinated? Yes, I am, thankfully. I had my COVID vaccine back in April, so I've been vaccinated for a while. And I'm fully vaccinated against pretty much everything now because I'm going back to school and they require a vaccination record. So it's been a long time since I had that stuff updated. So now I got the whole suite of cocktail drugs. Also just found these sitting here. Okay. So I drilled on this side first because it looked as if the guide peg or guide hole was not where I wanted it to be, but I think it will be okay. It looks about the distance, so we'll try. They gave me a hole insert here, so I started drilling, but then realized that might not work, so we'll just have to see, play it by ear. Here by LA, they're rolling back masks for everybody indoors. I read about that unit, and it was kind of a controversial thing, I think, because the people who, you know, are vaccinated just want to move on with their life and, you know, not really bother with this again. And the people who aren't vaccinated aren't going to wear masks anyway. So it's like, that just angers both parties. So, you know, not really sure. But I hope that you stay safe. And I'm wondering how long they're going to keep that restriction in there as well. Interesting. Okay, this piece we got to be really wary about. I'm going to hold this kind of tightly. Oh, I see it. Yeah, I'm going to stop here. So once you get kind of towards the top, let's see if you guys can see it. Can you see the outline of my drill bit? It's right here. So that's where we want to stop. We don't want to push too far forward. In fact, inserting the pin too far may actually bust the resin too. So I'm going to cut this a little short and then hope that it doesn't poke through. That's pretty good fit too. So a little bit off. I might need to sand down a bit here so this piece is a little bit smoother. There's not really much more I can do here. So like I can't bend the piece down, can't do anything else. There is a bad gap here. You can see this gap is a little more noticeable. See if I can bend this resin a little. Yeah, that's about as good as we're gonna get with this piece. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of shaving down on this hair too, which we can work on now as well. Try to get these pieces even. This is 320, so this is, let's see if I can go up to a 400. I'm running out of nubs. There we go. Yeah, so we definitely will need to do some work on this piece. Let me make sure that it looks kind of a weird bit here. You can see it kind of matches up here. But it looks like this side is like supposed to be down a little more. I don't think I can move this much more. Yeah, it fits in like pretty much fine on this side, so we'll just have to work with it. Let me smooth some of this. I'm sanding one plane of the hair right now to kind of make it so it matches up with this other hair strand we just attached a little better. Just as a really rough guide right now. Looks like we aren't going to reach the intermediate kit anyway. That's good. We filled up enough time here to get this stuff going. You're not an absolute unit. You're unit 002. That's not too big. That's a pretty small unit, let's be honest. It is weird though. It's like weird because when people call me by my username or like I call other people out, it's always funny, right? It's like something I still have to get used to as well. It's easier though, like when you already have an online community, or you're just like on Discord or whatever all the time. It's a lot easier just to use people's usernames. And it overlaps in real life too, which is funny sometimes. Like I've met people in real life and then you just call them by their username. Okay, so that looks a little bit smoother. You can see there's not as much of a dent here, but I'm gonna sand it down a little bit more. You've got too many names. Yeah, I go by kind of a lot. Depends what people are feeling. I try to keep it consistent with just Plum Workshop and Plum, but even then my Instagram handle is like not even that, so. Or my Twitter. The @ is Plum Workshop, so I have that going for me at least. All right, let me see if this is stuck. Get some of this dust out. Okay, stick that back in there. So yeah, you can see the fit is a lot smoother now. So I just had to kind of sand down, sand down one of the top planes that will zoom in. Oh my goodness. There we go. So you can see it looks a lot better now. It gets a little thin up here, but that's, you know, can't be helped honestly. But this side is fine now. It matches up more or less with this one. When we do the puttying, that will help too. But I did want to make sure that, you know, from the beginning, we didn't have like a big ridge line going on here. Because that way things will fit a lot easier when we're working with the putty. Let's see. Munto, my toe pump. Yeah, Bondo wielder. Don't ever call me that one. Let's see. Does blowing on the resin work through a mask? No, because you called me out. I took my mask off. I had it on earlier and then I was like, oh, we're almost done. So I took it off. Yeah, be sure you're trying to wear your mask for this. I kind of blew it away because, you know, we're not dealing with too much more here. But especially when you're sanding lots of stuff, make sure you're wearing your N95. That will keep all the dust off. And what do I prefer to use? Or what do you prefer you call me? Plum is fine, or just Munto. Yeah, a lot of times I go through and I'm just called Munto. A lot of people shorten it to Mun, so that one's pretty popular. I actually didn't start that one. It just like people do it and call me Mun, and Mun is fine as well. So any of those are good. You know, Super Mun, stuff relating to cacti, I get that a lot too. So prickly, etc. I'm just ranting at this point. Okay, I think we're pretty much smooth in terms of like what fits okay for now, and so let's just stick both of these hair strands in and see what we're doing. And I don't think I'm gonna bother with the scrunchies because that's a little annoying. Okay, one. And all good, Mr. Freaky. We got a little bit left here, so we still gotta mix up this epoxy putty. That won't take very long, so I'm not super concerned. We'll be wrapping it up relatively quick. Let's see. Sorry to start because you had all these spare N95s. Yeah, that's the way to do it, right? You got half the supplies anyway, the gloves and all of that, so. All right. So this is, yeah, her hair. It fits in pretty well. You can see she's got 2 bits. Let's put her head on. That's pretty cute. And we won't bother attaching the bottom half, but you can see, it's a shame I can't use a magnet on these. This piece is just too thin, even for my thinnest magnet. So we're gonna have to glue that. So I'll just kind of hold her head, or maybe try to get it to sit like that. Very cute. Looks really cute when it's all put together like this. You can see it matches up with the photo pretty well, so. A lot of opportunity here for painting cute eyes and stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the eyes. We'll see. The kit reference has them being pretty simple, but she does have these nice eye lines, so her hair fall off again. Yeah, I'm liking the look. Looking good from the back. You can see there's the holes for her little scrunchies to fit in. This is a nice view. So like that is a nice view. The hair gets really dynamic when she's kind of in the back. From the front, it's still powerful, but not too much. And then the top, from the bottom view, this actually did come together really well. So I was skeptical, but I think that the hair tendrils in the opposite directions, they work really well. The top here is really cute because you're supposed to look at it kind of from the front. Whoops, there you go. And then the back. And you can see there's no movement here. The pins are really solid. So, you know, magnets can be a little finicky depending on your position. They will stick, but I find they're a little bit more fragile than like a very sturdy pin. So just something to keep in mind. Magnets are great for areas like this because we really don't have a lot of room to work with here. For the hair, we have a really clear, you know, line where we can be sticking in and drilling in. And we drilled pretty far in on this hair. So we drilled kind of into here and then into here, about this far. And same with this and this. But if we did that here, we'd already be on the outside. So different methods. Seems to be behaving. Good, that's good too. Glad you're back. We still got this Tamiya putty to figure out. So I'm just gonna kind of leave it like this, I guess. She doesn't really need anything going on there. Well, I might take her torso off though. So last thing we're gonna do tonight is mix up some 2-part epoxy putty. And actually I will take off her. We're gonna need this torso, but we'll leave this pin in. So we're gonna be working with 2-part epoxy because, as I've mentioned a couple times, when we put the kit together like this and it all fits, you know, pretty well, there's this gap here, kind of in her crotch, honestly. And it's very slight. It does fit if we adjusted the magnet a little bit, but rather than bother with all of that because, you know, she stands, I'm just gonna putty the gap, so to say. So to do that, there's a couple ways. You can use the Vaseline method, which I'm not going to do tonight, and what I'm really going to do is just kind of slather this putty on. Just let it sit. So what I'll be using is Tamiya Epoxy Putty Quick Type. I bought this one in Japan, so you can see it's got the Volks logo on it. It's a 2-part epoxy, so it comes, you know, in a pretty large tube like this, but I've been using it for a while, so I've got about, you know, a third left maybe. So you can see it goes all the way up to here, but I've got about this much left. It comes with an instruction sheet, which is all in Japanese because this is a product from Japan. And the instructions are pretty straightforward in terms of like what you're supposed to do. So you basically cut 2 parts of the putty. So it comes in 2 bits. There's a yellow one and a white one. So the yellow one is the hardener and the white one is like the regular putty. And so you'll cut an equal amount of both of them and knead them together, and then it just says like whatever you can do with it. You can poke it, you know, you can use a knife with it, you can sculpt, because you can also use this to kind of sculpt with, so like so. You can use it to make modifications and do things with the hair. You can use it to, you know, add details. This part, they used it to add like stuff onto this car. You can use it to fill in and correct things and smooth stuff out. And so in order to use this, you'll have your 2-part putty mixed. You want to make sure that you, I guess, use a sandpaper on the area you want to putty first. And so this is like an indication. It says here to use around a 400 grit sandpaper to rough it up. And it says, let's see, a finishing paper. Yeah, finishing paper. So a 400 grit sandpaper to buff the area out. So that way the putty has a place to stick. And then you will apply the putty, you know, like so. You can use water to smooth it out. And so it just says you can use water to smooth it out. And so it works with water. Then you're gonna wait 1 to 2 hours for this to harden under 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. So this is the normal drying conditions. It will dry to the touch and harden up in about 1 to 2 hours, but it will take 6 hours for it to cure. And then I think it says here that it might take a little bit of a longer time in winter just because it's colder. So keep that in mind. That's kind of something useful in general. If you're working with putties, they do take longer to cure in cold temperatures, and same goes with paint. So that's why people have like heating lamps and stuff in the winter to try to speed up the process a little. Then it says after, you know, the whole thing is cured, you can use a cutting knife or sandpaper, etc., to kind of take off the chunks you don't want to. And then, so yeah, this is the cutting knife to take off the chunks you don't want to. And then it says use around 1,000 grit finishing sandpaper to smooth down the area totally. So that's just a, you know, quick how-to on this whole guide. I guess I just turned it over and it's all in English too. So feel free to buy this. I just read this in Japanese for you guys, but it has English instructions I didn't even turn over. That's embarrassing. But yeah, it looks like I literally translated that correctly. So you can trust me. I will not show you the English side. That's so funny. I don't even read these instructions anymore because they're pretty much all the same. They just have different, you know, drying, curing times. But that's actually pretty amusing. Penny, you don't trust me this far in. I am ashamed and distressed. Let's see, I always feel bad after using it, and then you learn you shouldn't use it with your bare hands. I'm not bilingual, I just know how to use these putties at this point. I have worked with them so much that it's not, you know, a big deal. And yeah, it doesn't recommend usually that you use them with your hands, just like a lot of putties are like that. The Bondo's the same way. But, you know, I'm kneading it and I have gloves, but they're kind of like too big for my hands. And so I'm just going to pull a bunch of this off and knead it real quick. So we don't need a lot. A little goes a long way with this stuff. So even this is probably too much, but you're going to mix 2 parts together. So let me push this here and just kind of put it down. So you want 2 equal balls of about the same size. Usually I just roll them in my finger, but I'm putting them down so you guys can see the visual guide of them being about the same size. So I think that's about good. If I squeeze it down, you can see it's about the same. So then I just kind of put it away. I do have a separate baggie I store them in because otherwise it will dry out. So I just get them all nice and flat in my bag and then store them. Tamiya does make another type of epoxy as well. So this is the quick type, meaning that it cures and dries much quicker. They also make a smooth type epoxy. So that one takes a little bit longer to dry and cure. And I found it's a lot harder. Like it dries and cures much harder than this quick type. So just a heads up. And yeah, always good to wash your hands, as I don't do that right now, but you know, it is what it is. And I want to try to minimize getting hair and stuff in it, so knead it together. And you're gonna basically knead it until you get the color, like a light yellow. because that means the white and the yellow have fully mixed. So you can see it's pretty sticky. There's a tackiness to it right now. And because this stuff does harden in an hour, you kind of want to get it on quick and then, you know, smooth it out if you need to. And that way, once it starts hitting like the half-hour mark, it starts getting a little firmer. So, okay, that's about smooth. You can see pretty nice. I'm just going to stick that here now. And let's deal with this. So I'm going to roughen up this side here and we'll work with that. See if I can get 400. I had it sitting here. There we go. Okay. So like the guide says, we're going to roughen it up a little bit with around 400 grit. And people tend to use Vaseline on their kits when they're doing this. So the benefit of Vaseline is you're going to rough up one side and put Vaseline on the other. And so when you put the putty on this side and stick the pieces together, the piece that has Vaseline on it isn't going to take up any putty. So this is really tacky right now. So if I just stuck putty to it and stuck them together and then, you know, pulled it apart, the putty would probably come off on this side too. So actually, I wonder if I have any Vaseline. Let me double check. It's been a long time since I've used it, but I could have sworn I had some still. If not, we'll just wait kind of a brief little bit for it to firm up a little bit more, because the firming up helps too. It makes it so it doesn't stick. Let's see. It would be in here if I had any. I think I got rid of it when I moved. Got a bunch of random stuff in here. Yeah, but no Vaseline / baby oil stuff. Okay. So you'll just have to imagine it, and it might be a little bit sticky then, so we'll see how that goes. Ow, as I hit my elbow on my laptop table. All right, so all you're really gonna do is just take bits, or like I tend to try to take the right amount the first time and push it. That's a lot. Push it onto the area where you want to fill that gap. It's kind of trial and error. A lot of times what you'll have to do is sand it down after. So it's okay if you get too much on it first. That's pretty stuck. Some weird red stuff in there. Which again, you want to try to keep that putty clean, but whatever. This is my kit, so whatever. Okay. And I tend to like wrap it around. This is a lot of putty. I'm gonna have to cut some of this down. I can use a toothpick to kind of push it into the position that I want. That's a lot of putty. I keep saying that, but it is. Because when you stick them together, that putty is just kind of gonna go and squeeze out on both directions. So I think I will shave this down. Let me take it off. Use a little bit less. And if we were working on the hair strands, it would be a slightly different situation since we'd have these pieces glued together already. So we would have a gap and we'd basically just kind of put the putty in that gap and smooth it down into it and then sand it down. Even when I'm doing puttying, it's trial and error for me, so I very rarely get a perfect 2-part epoxy bit. And I probably should have grabbed some water as well. Now I'm just kind of smoothing it with my finger. That's not too bad. So there's a lot going on here. Need a cleaner toothpick as well. I'm kind of using the toothpick to just wipe off excess. Like so. There's a hair in here though, I think that's what's messing with this. Yep. Okay, let me go grab some water real quick. That way it'll be a little easier to smooth this down. Okay, I have a little measuring cup filled with water here. So the water will help you smooth it down so you don't get this kind of rough texture. You can see there's kind of a lot going on here. Oops, that's free of debris. And if there's a better method to do this stuff, then, you know, so it be, but this is just kind of how I work with putty. And this is just the very rough guideline, right? Because we'll be smoothing this down with sandpaper later. But for now, we're just kind of removing any major extra stuff. This hair is really bothering me because I know it's gonna mess with stuff later. Oops. Where did this long hair get in here? Wow. Okay, that was a really long hair that somehow made its way into the putty. There, it's a lot better. And honestly, we're not even really gonna see this. This is more for my own satisfaction slash you guys being able to see it. Once this top goes on, whole gap won't even be visible. This is something that's fully optional, honestly. I'm gonna pull out extra in the middle. More hair. Oh my gosh, where did that hair come from? I just saw, or I heard a Kermie, so thank you so much. That would Jess. That whoa Jess. Oh, is that you, Jess? Is that a new account or is this another Jess? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. We're just wrapping up some 2-part epoxy putty tonight as you guys watch me struggle with it. I hate this song. Not this song in particular, but this cover. Alright. That's pretty good. Let me put this on here. You can, that gap is getting pretty close. There's a little bit. See, some of the putty rips off because we don't have that Vaseline right now. Kind of rough, need some water. Okay. That hair really messed things up. It kind of made the texture all rough and then pulled a bunch of it off. This is your first time, even better. Hi. How are you tonight? Thank you for stopping in. We are working on garage kits. So these are unpainted, unassembled resin figures. And right now I am applying some epoxy putty because we're closing a gap in her, this little kit's pants. So this is the kit that's supposed to be built. And we are just fixing, whoops, this little gap that I noticed. But I'm really wishing I had my baby oil Vaseline because this putty is just ripping off. This is a Munto error here. There we go. Oh, I see. You're a friend of Mr. Freake's. Yeah, this is definitely not peanut butter, but it does have a consistency of like silly putty, so that would probably be the most similar thing I can think of. And this will dry up pretty quickly, so we're probably what, like 10-15 minutes into this, and it's starting to get a little bit firmer, so that's good. Generally, I have best results around the half-hour mark when I'm working with this stuff, because by then it's like firm, but I'm able to stick the pieces together. And what I'll just probably do here is once I get a good fit, I'm just gonna stick it and let it dry, and that will be it. Then once we take the pieces off, it'll generally all stick to the one piece, and so that's pretty good. This is pretty good. Oops, pull it off. Damn, yep, it's this baby oil. I need it. Okay. The good thing about this epoxy putty though, is that you can build on top of it, and so once you get, you know, your good layer down and it's all laid down, you can add more if you need to. So we can build on top of this layer that we're gonna put in. That's pretty good. Add a little more. Wonder if there's, wondering if there's like an oil that I could put on this piece in the meantime. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. And another thing to remember is the more that you leave on, the more you're gonna have to sand down later. So try to make sure you don't get any excess on spots where you don't want it. Otherwise, you're gonna have to sand all that off. It's kind of annoying. Let me kind of clean up this area, because I think what's happening is it's getting the residue on it, and then the residue sticks. Have I used up that box of spoons? No, it is sitting right next to me. I am still having mixed results with the quality though, so I pulled out a few more and we're spraying them. And yeah, it's like 2 out of 3 have some sort of issue, and then 1 out of 3 is completely fine. And so I tried sanding one of them, just, you know, to sand off the mold release stuff, and it still was like kind of gross. So I think cleaning them will be the next option. Penny's right on top of the spoon action. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's pretty good. I keep saying that and then I mess it up, so what we'll do here is take this, and then that. I thought it was good, but it's really not. Might have to do the magnet option instead. Somehow the fit is like even worse now. There we go. Oozing putty. Probably because the top here now is too much. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're putting these pieces together. The putty's gonna come out from all directions, so that fits good. Okay, let's see how this works here. Okay, that's okay. And once this goes on, like once the tape part goes on, that's when the pieces split. So interesting. That leads me to think that it's an issue with this, the torso. I might have to delay this until our Thursday meeting. Or at least get this down at first and see what's happening. See if I can't get a little bit more though. Trial and error. That's what a lot of this kit building is too. So don't get frustrated if you feel like you're not getting the results that you want, because you'll get them eventually. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I'll be simple greening the box of spoon. Monkey! You mean a punk, but you're not wrong. Yeah, if they're all roughed up, then I might have to go in and fill, you know, all the imperfections on them too. So soon it'll just be like, that's all I do on this stream, is just who wants to tackle the box of spoons? Who's feeling like some spoons today? Could happen. Could happen. Okay. I think another issue I'm having is that this putty was kind of going inside the keyhole. Yeah, I'm kind of pulling out a lot here. Okay, that's pretty good. I think I'm gonna let that sit for now. There's kind of a lot of excess on the top here, so let me zoom in. Hopefully you guys can see it. So this side here is pretty good. You can see that basically there's no gap anymore, but there's a lot of putty on the inside, right, like here. And so we can get all of that smoothed out, but I do want to make sure that I have enough to work with and that it fills in that hole. So I'm gonna leave this like this, and that way the putty will have a chance to dry. It shouldn't go on the other piece because that piece wasn't roughed up. And then that way what I'll do tomorrow or Wednesday is sand all of that down, so that way you guys don't have to see it. And then we'll see how the fit is and if we need to make any more adjustments. But in short, you want to make sure that you cover the gap the first time, because it's a lot easier to kind of smooth the gap out and get it all corrected the first time. If you keep adding putty onto it, I find that sometimes it kind of like ends up flaking off, and this depends on your brand, but I have much better results if I smooth the gap out the first time rather than like continuously adding more and more putty. So we're just gonna leave this for now. We're gonna leave it to dry. She should still stand, because we didn't really, adjust anything. We just added more putty to fill in her crotch, basically. So I think, let's see. That's pretty much it for what's happening tonight. We got her little arms into a final fit, I think, for now. Without her. No! There it goes. Yep, just what we thought. But let's see. Maybe I can still salvage this. Putty is a little firmer now. Yeah, it still fits. So what we'll do is we'll leave it like this. And she'll be armless for now. Interesting. Now it doesn't. There we go. Okay, we'll leave it for now. Touch your head so you don't fall off. There we go. Okay. So you do want to make sure that you test this stuff when everything is on here, because sometimes you end up putting like pieces on and then you lose the balance. And so what I always like to check is the kit stability when everything is on the kit. So this kit is still really stable. I'm not gonna like pull her, towards you guys, so you're just gonna have to see her from the top. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's what is happening tonight. So thank you for tuning in for this stream. Next time we'll check on how this putty went, and what we will need to do is, if that fits well and if it's sanded down fine, I think I can just move on to priming this kit. So we may be moving on to using my airbrush next time, and that will be on Thursday, because I don't see any more micro holes or pinning or other major things we need to do other than the hair strand here and fixing it out. So yeah, I think we're in good shape to start priming and checking on, any other defects we missed, and hopefully not too much longer after that we'll be moving on to painting. So I'll reveal my final painting plans and we can go forward. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Yeah, thank you, Fries. Again, the stream will be delayed. It's usually on Wednesday, but this week it will be on Wednesday. So Wednesday, July 22nd will be the stream. Same time, 8 p.m. I look forward to seeing you guys and hope you have a good most of the rest of the week. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.